Hello, everybody. Welcome to Jumpin' Jackson Talk That Talk Rebounding. I look forward to interviewing Miss Sarah today. She's going to be coming on board, and we're going to be talking about mental health. It is the last day, and oh my gosh, I can't believe this month went by so fast. It's already June, practically. Oh my God, I think she's on. Hey!
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Hold on, let me adjust everything. How are you?
Good. I'm good.
Good,
I'm good. It's a little bit cold
good.
here up north. I know you're down in LA, so how's it out there in
Yeah.
LA, the
It,
weather?
it's it's a little muggy actually right now.
It's
Yeah,
kind of
it'll
muggy.
probably clear off. Let me go here.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get into it.
Okay.
Thank you so much
Okay.
for coming on board. Give me some of your time just to express like how rebounding has been in your life and how's it affected you
Right.
mentally. So just starting off, tell me a little bit about yourself. Like tell me your story of like how'd you get into rebounding and everything like that.
It's been like 2 years now. Rebounding. So we're in COVID,
Hmm.
right? The world shut
Right.
down. It's 2022, and everybody's looking like what to do. Either you're working out outside with your masks on, or you're working inside. Like I was working inside my home with milk jugs. No lie, I have videos of me
Wow.
like this. Yes, milk
Wow.
jugs and like my chair lifting up, like just going crazy. And I don't know how I came across a video, and it's a local gym here. Shout out to the South Bay Strength Company here in San Pedro.
Okay.
So I saw a video. So it was Alchemy, who's in Pico or Whittier. So it's such a great gym owned by women.
Hmm.
They did a demo in this gym, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to try that. So came across it. My girlfriend told me about a studio here locally, and we started jumping, and I fell in love with it. Like it
Oh
was
my
that quick of how I fell in love with jumping. Like, yeah, there's no like crazy story about it. It was just that quick of the love of jump. So
Oh my gosh. And it looks like you've been in fitness for a long time. Like, did you
yeah.
have any, like outside of rebounding, did you do any other kind of fitness classes or anything like that from the past?
Well, so I was in the military at 17. I was a
17.
17. I was a baby pup. Yeah, I was
Oh,
a baby pup.
wow.
It was so I graduated high school at 17, and I was like, okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? You know, you're finding yourself. Am I going to go into college? And
Hmm.
no, I ended up going into the military at 17, and that created my pathway into
Oh,
fitness.
oh, wow. Okay. So you've always
Hmm.
been somebody that's into fitness. I see your workout videos and stuff like that. I was like, go
Yeah,
ahead, girl.
yeah, 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 yeah. And then with jump roping as well. So I was jump roping, and I mean,
Mhm.
I've been jump roping for 10 years, but yeah, just fitness in whole since 17 years old. And now
17.
I'm 40. So
Well, honey,
yeah.
you do not look not an ounce towards
Okay,
the
no,
40 range at all.
that is the goal here. That is the goal here.
Your body, inside your body may feel otherwise, but
Yeah.
outside.
Well, we're not there yet. We're pushing the strings here. I'm like, okay, as much as we're grasping, what anti-aging can we do? So,
um, Here's a question. What does the phrase "the body is the temple" mean to you, and how do you incorporate this philosophy into your daily routine?
so internal health is wealth.
That's true. That's very true.
My thing just went off.
Oh,
So internal health is wealth. So and that's what I say. You know, that's a motto I've lived for, throughout my life, adulthood,
mm-hmm.
and externally we're always trying to improve ourselves externally,
Exactly.
but internally what you put in your body is what essentially will come out
Right.
to the
Right.
world. So the temple as my body, I try to eat correctly.
Mm-hmm.
um, so I really don't do supplements per se. Like I'll
Okay.
do certain supplements like CLA, collagen and things in that nature, but
Oh. Mm-hmm.
food. So I'm a
Okay. Okay.
big food, like a naturopath medicine person, like
Oh,
food, what you eat, right? So it's
alrighty.
not really medicines of the Western medicine per se, like prescriptions based things like
Mhm,
that, but
mhm.
food.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Hmm.
OMG. Food is definitely, you are what you eat, right? So if you feeling crappy, majority of the time you're eating. So
Right.
well.
Yeah. And listen, we hear like, I've been traveling a little throughout Europe and I'm like, whoa, like we need to make a change here, right?
Right.
A lot of our foods here are so processed and chemicalized that they don't like right now I'm on a sourdough fresh baked bread kick
Oh,
right
wow.
now because in
Okay.
Europe I went to Italy recently and it was like, oh my gosh, the way
Right.
they eat is not the way we eat. So
Oh,
yeah.
and they're really thin, and it's like compared to
Oh yeah,
our super
yeah, yeah.
sizes.
Right. Yeah. It's just night and day. I'm like,
Yes.
oh my
I
goodness.
remember I was in Japan and I went out to a restaurant and their larges looked like an extra small when it comes to our drinks. And I was just like, oh my gosh.
Portions
Like
portions are ridiculously different. Ridiculously
OMG.
different.
How has your upbringing influenced your approach to fitness and mental health?
Um, my upbringing. So I'm Latin, and with that, like Latin parents, my dad's Salvadorian, and my father was like very authoritarian regime
Okay.
male. Yeah, super
Oh
strict.
wow.
We grew up extremely Christian.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in the
Holier
church, okay?
than thou, huh?
Yeah, Christian church every day was holiness. So that's the youth in Spanish. And so it taught a lot of structure, taught a lot of core structure, how to be um it's a lot it's a it, the upbringing was crazy because being in the church sometimes can confuse individuals,
Mm-hmm.
but it taught it taught value. It
Time
taught
value.
value.
Okay.
So learning to value yourself, learning to value others, learning to value life.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
um yeah, yeah, the upbringing being super strict was that way.
Do you feel like did it make it easier like when it comes to mental health and any challenges that you faced in life, did you find your upbringing helped you get through those moments or you had to develop new coping strategies as you went on through life?
No, new coping strategies. What you learn as a child is not the same as how you adapt as an adult. I
Hmm.
learned that in adulthood, you're not taught, okay, let me not take everything so personally. Sticks and stones may break
Uh-huh.
our bones, but words do not hurt, right? So we're taught
Period.
this, right?
Yes, exactly,
But the reality
exactly.
is that it does.
It does
Words
hurt.
hurt you.
It
Words
hurts.
penetrate you,
Yes. Yes, it
and right
does.
now we're living in a right now our society is, social media and likes and improvements and wanting to be accepted by everything. But reality is no,
Right.
no, you make yourself happy. So in adulthood, I've learned to, hey, you know what, Sarah, put yourself first and make yourself happy. If you are happy and you're content within yourself, you will exude that. You will exude that. Other people will gravitate towards you because of that,
Right. Right. Right.
right? Like if you're unhappy and it comes with a mental health thing, if you're unhappy, your mental health, which rebounding has
Yes.
totally helped with me, right?
Right.
Because I was in an unhappy place 2 years ago. I was in search of Sarah and like, who is Sarah? And learning to, you know what, I need to do what makes me happy. So with adulthood, it's been that for me. In order for me to help others, first I need to be content with myself,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. Exactly. The saying I would
Mhm.
say is like, how in the heck you gonna love somebody else when you don't love yourself? It's like, how
Right,
can you love anybody else?
right,
You know, you have to practice loving
and
yourself. Yes.
right,
It's a
and
daily battle,
there's
and it's not easy, you know, having to do things to look out for yourself, even amongst your family. You know, you try to be there for your family, but sometimes you have to go first. You know, your sanity is your
right,
sanctuary, and
and
that's all day,
and
every
that's
day.
another thing. So being in a Latin family, it's always put your family first, put your family first, put your family first. Which yes, absolutely, family first, blood first, right?
Exactly.
Blood is thicker than water, and that's what we're taught. Um, but if you're sinking, how can I make you guys afloat? I can't keep you guys floating if I'm sinking. The my battle is sinking. So yeah, adulthood has. I've always told myself, because I have two daughters,
Oh,
and they know that we live. Yeah, I have two.
yeah.
One 20 and another
You got
11.
a 20-year old.
I have a 20-year-old. Yeah, I know. Everybody's like, oh my god, you guys are like sisters. I'm like, see, but no, but she knows. Like she's a college soccer athlete. She's playing soccer for her college, and she knows, like, baby, yes, you're going to have peers and you're going to go through life like, okay, well, I want to be a cool kid. Like, what do cool kids do? Let's flow. Let's go do that. Right.
Mhm.
But if you're not feeling it, don't follow, lead yourself. If
Right.
you want to do it, okay. That's one thing. You want to do it, you want to try, you want to, because life is experimenting. And even with rebounding, like,
Yes.
the fear of the
Yes.
boot is a real thing. The fear of the boot is a real thing. My gosh.
So
And
tell me about, how was your first experience like when you first saw the boot, before you got in the boot? What was going through your mind? Just take me back and just, tell, like, explain to me how was your whole first experience. I think because you brought up a good point. A lot of people fear the boot.
the fear of the boot, like, that needs to be the signature motto now. Um, so I was excited, actually. So I was excited to trying on the boot because I've been into fitness, and so I didn't have fear there. I knew that, okay, well, if this is somewhat like skiing, or if I've been rollerblading, it's someone like that. You're equally unbalanced. You're having to,
Right.
engage your core and contain your posture and go with it. So I wasn't afraid. I I felt excited, and then once I started jumping, I was like a kid in the candy store,
Yes.
because I mean, for real, because I was like, oh my god, this brings back the little trampoline bubbly days. Like, this is so much fun. Like, at the Hispanic parties where we're having piñatas, and we're having those big, like, bubbly, jumping things. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing.
Right.
So yeah, I fell in love with it, but I brought friends along that were afraid of
Mhm.
it. So I saw their side of it, like,
Mhm.
feeling unsturdy and things like that. But again, once they got in the boot and they started, like, okay, I could do this, I could do this. They have fallen in love with it equally.
Mhm. Um, not trying to get too personal, but during the pandemic, would you say you had some mental health challenges that kind of result into like a diagnosis, or it was just mainly just stress and just unhappiness?
So
Um,
during during the pandemic, so I own, so I'm in real
oh,
estate law. I own
okay.
a business in real estate law, doing all of that. Well, I was hit. I
Oh,
was hit hard,
oh my God.
hit hard,
Mm.
because in Los Angeles, the eviction moratorium, everything was shut
Oh,
down. So no
oh,
landlords could evict. The tenants were unsure, like, what was going on. They couldn't pay rent because there was a lot of financial distress.
right.
So my business was hit. And here we are, 2020, 2021,
Mm,
2022.
mm,
Um, I was in a very unhealthy, toxic relationship.
mm,
And so, with all
mm.
these stressors,
Right.
it was like, I needed an outlet. We weren't allowed in the gym, and gym was that to me,
Me
right?
too. Me too.
Right, gym
Yes.
was that to me. Outside, people were having to wear their masks, so it wasn't like you like you felt enclosed. You weren't free, right?
Mhm.
The pandemic was rough. The pandemic was rough, and so 2022, when I found, rebounding, that I that that really transformed me. It really helped me mentally, physically, and internally, spiritually.
Mhm. You know, it's so that experience that you had when you first got in a boot and you felt like a kid again,
Yeah,
that's where healing
absolutely.
takes place. Like
Yeah,
when you're going through things in life and you're looking for an outlet, that is where that's where healing takes. Because if you think about it, as a child, if you come from a really, safe upbringing, that's where you felt safe, is when you didn't
yeah,
have to worry about anything. And
right.
that's how I was as a kid. I had a pretty decent upbringing. I had a very rapid
Good.
imagination. I used to be in my
Yeah,
backyard. I thought it was
yeah.
X-Men. I used to be,
Okay,
and
I can
so,
see that. I can see that. Yes, that jump rope though, those skills are on a whole other level. Yeah,
yes. And it takes me back when I was 8 years old when I'm jumping in my boots and I just get all of this euphoria,
yeah,
and it's such an amazing
absolutely.
feeling. And that's why it works really well with depression, anxiety, a lot of these different, because, to be human, we do have some experiences with depression,
Yeah,
anxiety, because you have to have grace for your
mm,
sadness and your happiness. It's not going to be easy every day. And rebounding is a great option to have to be able to do that. And so that's amazing. The fact that
yeah.
I've met so many people like yourself who has that same feeling of like, oh my God, I feel like a big old kid when I got in the boots.
Because
And it's
that's what it is. You're hitting. So you're not only hitting your lymphatic, right? So
Mhm.
you're circulating your blood, you're circulating your oxygen levels, you're removing the toxins.
Right.
Um, so true story. One of my family members just recently, like 3 weeks ago, started jumping with
Oh,
me.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, started jumping, and I mean, just instant. At first, and I have been trying to get her to jump with me forever, okay? Forever. I'm like, you gotta try this. It's so amazing.
Right.
You're gonna see what you feel like, you know?
Right.
But
Right.
there's fear of the unknown, and that is a real
That's
thing, the
true.
fear of the unknown. If
It's a
we
very
don't know what it's going to lead to, we don't want to touch it. There's always fear behind that. So finally she did. She came to one of my classes, and yeah, and I mean, instant, like, oh my god, what did you do to me? And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, what did you do to me? She's like, I have so much energy right now. And I'm like, heck yeah. Yes.
yeah.
Right? Like this is what I've been kind of preaching to everybody, like the way you feel. Because I
Exactly.
know that it was immediately, it was instant for me.
Mm-hmm.
Instant. It
Hmm.
was my release, because it's mine. I like the choreographed based jumping style,
Uh-huh.
which is all mental.
It
Like,
is.
okay, how
It
do I
is.
remember that? How do I remember that? How do I remember that?
Yes.
So it's all mental,
Right.
plus you add the physical.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're now it's hitting all different sorts of channels within the body. So that's what I've loved.
It's the norepinephrine, it's the serotonin. I love the
Yeah,
dose, the
absolutely.
dopamine, the oxytocin.
Right, exactly. And without any,
Yes.
type of prescription other than a boot.
Prescription or medication.
Right.
I won't say, that it will cure depression, but it will help in getting you out of depression and aid in helping you get out of anxiety. Because if you can be in a better
Hi,
peace. Oh,
Jasmine. Jasmine's on. Jasmine's the owner of the studio that I'm at.
oh,
Yeah,
okay.
she's super awesome.
Oh my God. Yeah. So like if you're at peace, from jumping, because it hijacks your lymphatic system and gets all
Yeah,
of those neurotransmitters circulating, you be able to approach problems from a more peaceful kind of way, because problems going to
Right.
come. And if you're feeling happy, then it's like, okay, you know what? I'm not about to go from 0 to 100 with my anxiety because I feel so much better from just rebounding and jumping off the stress, jumping off whatever issues that be coming your way. So it's amazing. I love jumping. Okay,
So
here's,
one of the factors too is that it hits your VO2.
oh, yes.
So do you know what
Yes,
that is?
VO2,
Yeah,
the ability for you to absorb oxygen at a higher level, like for
right.
athletes, the VO2 level needs to be high for them to be able to do
Right.
a lot of the high intense running, like in football and all that type of stuff.
Exactly.
Yes, that's what jump
So
roping do.
and see and that's what I have loved about this. Like, and I tell people,
Hmm.
so if you incorporate this with any other sport,
Right.
you are going to see a huge difference. The
Yes.
endurance, the stamina,
Hmm.
uh, your oxygen level, like you are hit differently,
Right.
so that's what I have also loved too, like seeing differences in myself before,
Hmm.
because I was a sporty girl, so seeing Sarah before
Right.
jumping and seeing Sarah after the
The
jump,
jumping.
you know so it's like, yeah, you see a difference. Like,
You
I
do
have
see a difference.
noticed a huge difference within myself, so yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I could I it was funny because I was jumping at Annie's place one day and I was having a full conversation while jump roping and Annie she paid attention to that. She was like, "Jackson, how are you able to talk and keep your breath as you just jumping?" I'm like, "I don't know." And so then I realized I'm like, "Oh, my VO2 max is really high. That's
Absolutely.
why I'm able and my endurance is so high." Because I'm
Right.
like, I didn't even think of twice with it because I'm not out of breath at all. So rebounding altogether, it helps with that.
Yeah.
And so, and then on top of the boots being about 4 pounds, so it helps improve balance. A lot of people when
Right.
they come over, they're like, I'm gonna fall flat on my butt. I'm gonna have a hard time balancing myself. I'm like, actually, if you got horrible balance,
It's
these are the boots
gonna
that you
help
want to
you.
get in. It's gonna help
Yeah.
you.
Yeah,
Your core, most
absolutely.
people don't use the core. No, as a nurse, we work in the hospital. There's so many back injuries that happen with nurses. When we turning
Right.
patients, when we bringing them up, and a lot of it's because they don't use their core. They're using their back. And so with the boots, it trains you to use your core. And
Right.
so that's beneficial long term wise.
So I always say that, when I have new students in the class, I always, that's like one of the first things I always say, like, engage your core, tighten your core. Like,
Hmm.
you don't realize, and then also to your lower back.
Right.
The lower back, like, so it strengthens your lower back. If your lower back is strong, your core is going to equally be strong, right?
Your core is going to be exactly.
So, um, yeah, jumping has just put incorporating rebounding to me with a different sport. You're gonna see a huge difference. Huge difference.
I think somebody was asking, can you give me a list of benefits for depression, anxiety, and for athletes? So with depression, anxiety, serotonin and norepinephrine, the main neurotransmitters, is what when they're low is what causes the depression, anxiety. And so when you're rebounding, that promotes the creation of more serotonin and norepinephrine. And as a result, your depression, anxiety goes down. And so that's just in general, just with any exercise, any type of exercise that you moving your body, that's what's going to help get depression, anxiety much more better. Now sometimes people depression, anxiety may be to the point of they only even have the motivation to get up and move. And when that happens, then that's when you got to seek out professional help, because then you're not taking showers for 7 to 6 days, you're having recurrent thoughts of death, you're feeling hopeless and helpless and all that. So if you're at that point, then it's like, yeah, you may want to consider seeing additional help, a psychiatrist, or even starting off with like a psychotherapist and then going from there. Um,
Yeah.
how did your military experience shape your views on leadership and teamwork?
Gosh. So, so the military, uh, well, in the army, there was no individualism.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but that's because they're breaking you down to be a soldier, right?
Right.
And have this mentality to go and defeat the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the the team is a unit, so there is no I in team, but the team and whole team as one. Now, as far as leadership is concerned, so I left the military when I was a sergeant, so I was an E5, and they're they break you down to bring you up,
Okay.
right?
Okay. All
So
right.
yeah, they break you down to bring you up. Yeah, the stories that I have, and
That seems severe. Break you down to bring you up, girl. I don't
yeah,
want to get
so
broken down.
right, yeah, it's all mental. It's all mental. But honestly, I felt I feel that that has helped me throughout my life as well, though, because here I was, a California girl. You can just think about it,
Right.
right? Like here I am,
Right.
all
Exactly.
prissy and things like that, and they're
California
like,
living.
what is this girl doing here?
Exactly. No, I
What are
wasn't.
you doing here?
I'm Tierra
But
all
I
the
did
way.
it. But I did it. I was propelling off of walls.
Oh,
I am
oh
airborne.
wow. Okay.
I mean, I was doing bazookas and grenades. I mean, I was in the trenches with the trenches,
Oh,
you know.
oh,
So it taught a lot of leadership. It taught a lot of leadership. They don't want you weak. They want you strong,
period. Period.
period.
Period.
And the strong
Yes.
survive.
Right.
And that goes two and two with today.
Exactly.
The strong survive. The strong, you have to be strong or try to make yourself strong,
Make yourself
you
strong.
know?
And
Right. And
rebounding
so
does that because
it
when you
does.
think about rebounding, is that you go down to come back up. That is never you on the floor. You're never gonna be on the ground. You're always gonna be pumping up, and so that's how you apply that to the rest
Right.
of your life. You know, must what comes
Exactly.
down must go back up, and so yeah, it's so rebounding is just it's amazing. I'm so happy that I ran into it. I can't believe it. I hadn't run into it earlier. Sometimes I wish I've been rebounding right my mama's stomach at like 5 years old, bouncing in my boots. Because it
So when
really
did
gives
you
me.
get in it? Yeah, I'm curious. Like, when did you get involved with it?
I've been actively like pushing rebounding since about a year and a half now. I found out about it about 3 years ago, but
Oh, okay, okay.
I wasn't initially. I fell in love with it. When I
Yeah,
got in the boots, I was jumping all over the place. I didn't have no type of choreo. I was
yeah,
just having fun. I felt like a kid,
yeah,
and there's not too many
absolutely.
things that I can do that makes me feel like a kid. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And of course, when I got back home, everything went out the door because I was like, I don't have. It's like I didn't have the ambition at the time to bring it out here to San Francisco because there's
Mhm.
nobody out here doing it at the moment. So one day, after going through a really bad breakup, I was like,
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what? Let me. I know, right?
Listen, I don't know what that is all about, right? But man, but yeah, listen, and that actually, I was telling my girlfriend this morning. Sometimes you have to lose yourself to find yourself,
Yourself. That's so true. That's
because
so
you
true.
put your identity into other people, and you know what? Us as humans, we we are meant to procreate. We are meant to have connection. We are meant to embrace one another,
Hmm.
right? And so you can easily lose yourself in other
That's
people,
true.
right? And so when you go through a breakup,
Right.
that is bad. It's like you do lose yourself. And so here you are now, okay, still searching. Okay, what is it that I want to do? And so yeah, same thing for me. Rebounding was
Yeah.
that for me
Yes.
during that
Yes.
time. It was that outlet.
And then we sometimes we give excuses, and as far as in loving ourselves, and the reason why I say that is because it took me a couple of times of saying no to the boots because they were in my garage. So every time I would come to my
Oh,
garage and I would see the boots and I'd be like, nah, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. No, I got this, I got that. And and it's like this is like the center of loving yourself is doing things that promote yourself and feeling healthy. And eventually, when I got in those boots, I was like, why was I putting this off the whole time? Sometimes in our
yeah.
mind, we can create a bigger wall than what's the reality in front of us. The
Right,
mind is like,
exactly. And I was fighting it too. So it was March of 2022 that I got involved with it. And and I was fighting it too. I was fighting it too. I was like, okay, this is cool, but maybe not for me. So throughout the summer, you're out and about and things like that. But it didn't hit me hard until September of 2022. I was like, you know what? It brought out different flavors. Like, so I was. I was a volleyball player in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't I was sporty, but not really involved like that into sports. I wasn't a cheerleader or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it brought out different sides of me. I was like, this is kind of hitting my cheerleading NFL days that I can't do anymore,
Mm-hmm.
with the little skirts and things like that. But the challenge of, and like I said, the choreograph of what I like. So the choreograph based with the body just hits so different because I like challenges.
Right.
I was in the freaking
Yeah.
military. I mean, every single day was a challenge. Every day was a challenge. I mean, I can tell you, I mean, we could go on and on. Funny stories of
Mm-hmm.
how challenging it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then being the being one out of two females in my unit at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I was from California, and then the other girl was from Puerto Rico. So imagine that you're surrounded by male dominance, male dominance at the time. It was challenging. It was challenging, but my mother and God and my perseverance, because I was like, I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to give up. So
You're
I just do not have that mentality. Like, no, Sarah's going to put it through and go through it, and you're going to do it. And even though you might not be 100 at it, at
right.
least you know what, you're going through it and you're passing and you're making it happen. So
I would
yeah,
say do little by little. Sometimes like kind of circling back on the fear factor when it comes to the boots, they look very intimidating at
they
times. I mean, for a new
do.
person, but you got to think
Right,
of it by little. Be like, okay, I'm gonna try these boots out, and maybe I can only, walk in them the first day, and that's okay because you're
right,
gonna eventually be able to bounce to the right, you're gonna eventually be able to bounce to the left. You gotta look at life altogether as rebounding and doing things little by little because it's not about who make it to the finish line first. It's about the
right.
consistency of staying on course. And so that's what I preach when it comes to that. Now, what advice would you give to someone struggling to find their own path to happiness and success? If they may be going through depression or anxiety and maybe the boots is something that they're considering, but what advice would you give them?
Do what makes you happy. We are so quick to try to be people
Right.
pleasers. We're
Right.
so quick to, yes, think about others, and when we are taught that, and yes, we should as humanity in a whole.
Mm-hmm.
But say if you are struggling and you want to take yourself shopping,
Mm-hmm.
then take yourself shopping. You're
Right.
allowed. You're allowed to smile. You're allowed to be happy.
Right.
You're allowed, like, you matter. You matter.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the times, like the young youth, like my daughter's, she's 20 years old. She's in search of herself. It's like, baby, as much as you want to people please and like, okay, well, my friends want to do that. No, but you have a voice too. So
Exactly.
what is it that you want to do?
Mm-hmm.
What is it that you want to do? If other people don't support, and that I've also learned that as well as an
Mm-hmm.
adult, you're not going to have a bunch of supporters. You're not going to have, not everybody's going to support you.
Right.
You are your own person. You have your own mental thought.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody's going to agree with
No.
you.
No.
So, and that's okay. And
Mm-hmm. That's
that's
totally fair.
okay. That's
Mm-hmm.
okay. So do what makes you happy. You know, yes, you can put your energy and effort into other existences, but if you are not internally happy, you can't place that outside
Mm-hmm.
with the world. So um, yeah, just do what makes you happy. Do what makes you happy. And in the limelight, other people will see you glowing differently.
Yes.
Other people will
Yes.
see you glowing differently.
That's true. That's true. When you're happy with yourself and you take the time out, then you're gonna shine. And it's like, and you can see when people is very content, no matter what shape or size, you can see the happiness over them, you know? And that's why it's
Right.
so important to take yourself out on dates, mental dates,
Right.
you know?
Absolutely. And and that's actually a great point. You know, people like taking yourself out on a date. Like I remember in my 20s, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I would never go out and eat by myself. Oh, that's so embarrassing." And we
We was
have
all there.
we have, and I don't know if that's an American thing or what, but we have this like, "Oh, that's so embarrassing." And that actually relates back to the to rebounding.
Right.
Like, oh, that's so embarrassing. I don't want to be putting on, like, what are those things? They look like moon shoes, like, what? Oh, that's embarrassing. I wouldn't want that get up
Right.
going on.
Mhm.
But you listen, don't knock it till you try it. Don't
Exactly.
knock it
Exactly.
till you try it.
Hmm.
You are not going to see, or you're not going to feel, actually, because seeing is one thing. It's misleading at
Right.
times, right? The boot is misleading,
Right.
but you're not going to feel. You're gonna see how you feel,
Hmm.
because the moment that you do put on the boots, and which is why I became an instructor. I was like, I always knew I was going to teach. Like I always knew that. Like, okay, Sarah's going to be a professor in something, but I just
Right.
don't know what it's going to be
Right.
in. I don't
Right.
know in what realm we're going to be teaching, but we're going to be teaching something.
All right.
And I've done the cycling, I've done the
Mhm.
weight training, I've done oh my gosh, so many things. But I have stuck to rebounding.
Yes.
I have stuck to rebounding. And that's a testimony in
Yes, it
itself. I'm a
is.
Sagittarius. I'm a
Yes.
Sagittarius, Jackson. It is hard for us to commit, okay? Like
Oh.
these are facts. These are facts. And so,
OMG.
now we're going down that path. But no, so I'm actually sticking to this. And I'm like, no, it's because I love it. I
Ex-
love the way it makes me feel. I love the way I see other people. Like, after we're finished with our blocks, and I see them sweating, and
yeah.
they're like, I'm like, yes, 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 because you know what? This is improving you. This is
Mhm.
improving you.
Your
So,
why is so important, and you found your why. And when you find your why, you can give a rat's ass about what anybody or have anything to say. Even for
right.
myself, like, I've been pretty much comfortable with like my sexuality for the most part of my life. But when I fell into rebounding, honey, I just blossomed like a butterfly. I
Yeah.
didn't care,
Yeah.
not rap. I was bouncing everywhere. You see me, I'll be at the airport one
Yeah, you
day,
do.
I'll be by a bridge, the other day, I'll be by
Yes,
I
you
don't care.
do. Yeah, yeah. And
Because
and you know what? And that's what I love about you. I wanted to make that a point. Like I love what you stand for. You educate, and I'm all about the education, right?
right.
You educate about the boot, and you embrace it, and you live it. Like I absolutely love that
Yeah,
about
because
you.
I feel like, the boots are pretty and bouncing is wonderful, but what's more important is the mind. The mind is very important. There's way more
Right,
depressed people and anxious people out there in the world than people who really want to exercise. When you really think about it, exercise is
right.
not something that everybody loves to do. But if they find it as something that can help them with their mental trauma
Hmm.
or ailments, then they'll be way more open to try something that will help them more longer, longer and longer run. If you get,
Right.
physically, because your mind needs to be taken care of first before the rest of your body could go along with it.
Absolutely,
You know,
100%. Yeah, it's the mind that controls. If
it's the
we don't
mind that
have this,
controls.
we don't have the rest of
You don't have the
this,
rest of that. No. Like
right.
when
So,
patients come in and they be diagnosed with high blood pressure, diabetes, cholesterol, and if their mind is not right, they're gonna be thinking, "I'm gonna take this pill and continue to do the same diet." But if their mind,
right.
was better, like when it comes to depression, anxiety, if they're having depression, anxiety, and they get diagnosed with diabetes and high blood pressure, and that's not going to make them do right. That's going to make them just do exactly what the doctor tells them, but then at the same time half-ass that. So it really is a
Right.
mental thing, with all the people I've seen, because this goes a lot deeper than just me bouncing in boots. This goes as like when I've had patients in the past, and you tell them, hey, you got to do this to live, and some of them, when it comes to food, they're so, food is so ingrained in our culture to the point where it's
Right.
hard for people to have to go without when it comes to a life or death kind of situation or diagnosis. And that's why it's like the mind has to be, you have to unlearn certain behaviors. And sometimes you need coping strategies to be able to unlearn those behaviors so
Hmm.
you can make those necessary changes for your life. And that's where rebounding for me comes into place, because it puts you in that zone to be a lot more receptive when you're happier. When you're not that happy, you're not that receptive. And
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
that's what I love about rebounding.
Yeah,
How do you
absolutely.
balance following your heart with the responsibilities and expectations of others, especially in the leadership role? Because I know sometimes, like with life itself, because it's your passion. I guess you kind of answer the question in so many ways. Because once you're passionate and you have your why, then at that moment you don't really have too many balancing issues. But if you have to, if you had anything else that you probably didn't say, what would you like to say about?
Right. And so the passion is the heart, right? The
Hmm.
passion is the heart. So, I mean, um, so okay, so the struggle is having people try the boot, and the struggle is having people um, be comfortable in the boot. So I've told myself, okay, not ev- not everybody's
Right.
different. So take it slow. Take it slow.
Hmm.
I've learned to become more slower myself because
Right.
I could be,
Yeah.
I could
On it.
I could be like, okay, let's go, but some people aren't like
That's
that.
true.
So
That's
because I love it so much, I have told myself, okay, I will change to become slower pace so that other people can see
true.
and gradually develop themselves.
That's why I focus so much on, like, basic movements, because like, out here I don't have like a huge
Yeah,
following, but like it's very intimidating with some of the things that you can see. Like, when you first see them, they're amazing. They're like, oh my God, I want to do that. But then at the same time, it's like if you have somebody who's on the edge, it's like, well, I can't do that. But that's where you're
right,
like, what, you may not can do that, but you can walk around in them. You can dance in them. You
right,
can, I try
right,
to promote fun as well as basic steps so
right.
people don't feel intimidated. Because that is a challenge when people
It
come to the
is.
class. They feel
It
like they need
is.
to be at this other person's level. And it's like, well, let me bring it down. You don't have to be there. You're going to get the same effect as they're doing. It's just that
Right.
they're at different fitness levels. But sometimes it's hard to say that, or at least to
So
present that.
what I do in my class is the people who are comfortable and who find themselves more athletic,
Hmm.
we could be at the level C.
Right.
We could be at the level C.
Hmm.
My beginners, I'll be like, okay, I'll teach them. I'll show them the level A. I'll
Right.
show them the level A. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. This is you don't have to have your knee at a 90-degree angle making the
Right.
turn. You can be
Right.
stationary doing it
Hmm.
on the floor, but it's the same count.
It's
It's
the
the
same.
same beat. Right.
Exactly.
It's the same
Exactly.
beat and the same count. Um, but yeah, there is a stigma behind having to be such a, showstopper type of rebounder, but reality is that it's not.
That
It's
was
not.
my case when I first started. And, I have, all the people that I've been watching along the way of like,
Right,
oh, like that's my idol. And then I
right,
came to a point and be like, Jackson, jumping Jackson, what is that you love and what you going to do? It's like, you can't put yourself where they're at. It's like, well, that may not be my identity that I want to be at in the rebounding world. So that's where, I found jump roping was my thing. But like, it's about finding where you want to go with it at and being
right.
comfortable. Because some people may not ever get to, a marina, that high
Yeah,
level. Some people may just be content with just, running in the boots. That's why I do the running on the
right,
treadmill. Some people don't even want to dance or do aerobics. They rather just run in the boots,
right. And and see, and we live in California, so we're a whole other different
Yeah.
entity. We are a whole different entity. and I found myself frustrated as well.
Yeah.
In Europe, it's like, oh my
I
gosh, everybody's choreographed. Like, I mean,
I'm,
they are phenomenal, right?
yeah.
They are
They're
phenomenal.
phenomenal. Yeah, they be
Yeah,
doing it, girl. I'll be
yeah.
like, go ahead, honey.
Right, right. And I'm like, okay, why can't, and I found myself frustrated, like, why can't we be this way? Why
Yeah.
can't we be this way? Or American Hold, like, why can't we be this way? But reality is we don't have to. Reality is we don't have to.
Hmm.
Guess what? At the end of the day, some like this, some like that,
Hmm.
you know? So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah,
totally get
with
that. I was like that too. Cause I'm like, why this is not as popular as it should be. Like when you look at
right,
other
yeah.
countries, right? You think this would be a lot, especially, you know, the orthopedic floor, we be having all kind of knee replacements.
Oh my gosh, I
Not
know.
saying
And
that,
see,
you
and
know.
that's one of the main things too. I'm gonna hurt my knees. Like, people are like, you need to stop doing that because it's gonna hurt your knees. And I'm like, this was literally created for knee
Yes, this is a rehabilitative
rehabilitation.
tool.
Yeah, this is designed by that. Okay, this is NASA endorsed. Like, I don't remember the
Yes,
last time. I don't remember the last time NASA endorsed any other type of boot. All right, like, you're not
exactly.
gonna hurt yourself. Like, just try it. So yeah, yeah, with rebounding, there's different levels. There's different levels for sure. Like, I know I see you jumping with Jenny at the
Oh,
beach, right?
Jen and Jen
And
jumps.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Jenner Jane, she's super amazing herself. Like, athletic being, like, yeah, she's top up there. But she isn't the standard of the choreographed, type of movement, type
Mhm.
of dance. But it works. What works for you might not work for other people. And I've had to
Exactly.
tell myself that. I've had to
Exactly.
tell myself that. That
Hmm.
was something I told myself. What works for you might not work for them. What works for them might not work for you. So find your
Wait,
own. You don't have
you.
to live in a reflection
Mhm.
of someone else.
Right.
Do what makes you happy, you know?
And that's how I look at like when I got certified to teach, and I'm like, I got to find my own identity. This like, of course, they give you a
Absolutely.
blueprint of what
Yeah.
like you
And
need
see,
to do this, you do that.
that's what I am. Hmm.
And that's where I was like, let me make it my own, so then I don't feel like this is a big old ball that I'm trying to swallow because it makes you not want
Right.
to go forward.
Yeah.
To be like, wait a minute, let me push this ball to the side and do what works for me, and
So,
that's
and that
exactly what Energy did.
I was telling, right, exactly.
Hmm.
And I was telling my girlfriend earlier today too. I was telling her, I love the choreographed bass, like hoorah,
Hmm.
tennis, cute little outfit. But I'm also the backwards hat, like, let's
Yes,
let's
let's get
get
it
down
in,
and
girl. Let's get
dirty.
it
Yeah,
in.
I'm both. I'm not one or the other. Like, I am not one or the other. I am both. And so I'm like, you know what, Sarah, be yourself.
Right.
People will gravitate towards you. People gravitate to what you believe in. Be
Hmm.
yourself. You don't have to
Exactly.
be a reincarnation of, you know, um, Mississippi flowers, or per se,
Right.
yeah, like,
Mississippi flowers. Exactly.
yeah, be you. So yeah, so everybody wanting to try the boot, you're going to be afraid. You're going to be
Right.
afraid in the beginning because
Hmm.
it's the unknown. You don't know you don't know, you've never done this before. So you're going to be unstable as long as you're engaging your core. So this is what I say: engage your core, tuck in your pelvis, lower your shoulders, keep your head up, chest out. Okay.
Period.
Yeah, chest out. Like, and just, you don't have to be full on jumping, but
This is
walking. I
right.
tell people, yeah, just start walking. Just start walking. I have them do like 5 minutes of jumping with me in my hand or my
Hmm.
other colleague's hand, and then within the first 5 minutes of the class in our warm up, they're getting
I
it
get it.
because now they're like, oh, this isn't so bad.
Now, what about for women who may have some bladder challenges? Like, what do you normally? No.
That is a real thing. Oh my gosh. Um, okay, that's like a personal like. Okay, but listen, we're adults here. We are all adults here? Like we are all
Yes,
adults in
yes.
here.
And I have to
That is a
tell
real
you,
thing.
that's a real thing. And I don't, and I'm, I wish I would be a little bit more like compliant with God. I totally forget to talk about it because, there'll be some, one person is like, oh my gosh, like, oops, stress
Yes.
incontinence, So
Okay.
what do you normally
Yes.
do? How do you educate when it comes to women and they come and they may have
Well,
some
they
bladder difficulties?
so the misconception is that, oh well, that's not going to happen to me because I don't have children. But no,
Yeah, no.
it's right. It has nothing to do with having children. It's the bladder that is holding this. And guess what? This is what you're
Right.
doing. You're jumping, right?
Exactly.
So um, it happens to all of us. It happens to all of us. Like,
Hmm.
I will be the first one. Like, yes, I am an instructor, and yes, it happens to me too. But
Uh,
don't be embarrassed. Don't, I mean, there's nothing to be embarrassed about. There's no one. I haven't had one person in this, 2 year span be like, oh my gosh, what's going on with you? No, it's
right.
sweat,
The sweat.
right? what,
Period.
what you're looking at is sweat, okay? And number two, why are you looking that hard? Like, hello, I'm trying to get my workout on, right? So,
Oh,
um, yeah, no, don't be embarrassed. At the end of the day, what you're doing is you're engaging your core. So that is what the engaging the core is all about.
hmm,
Engage that core, tighten, right?
hmm.
So those Kegel muscles are a real thing
Yes,
too, right? For
yes. For ladies. Hmm.
the ladies, and so just there's nothing to be embarrassed about because we're honestly it's part of it, even with the trampoline, because I know one other instructor who does on the trampoline rebounding, and
Right.
she said the same thing too, like, oh my gosh, I haven't done this in a long time, and here I am. I did
Hmm.
rebounding for the first time with me. She took my class, and she said that, and I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, but see, that's normal though. That, like, it's not uncommon. Like, don't think like, oh, there's something wrong with me internally. No, it's very, very common.
Now, towards as we approach the end, so tell me, what do you need to do to sign up for your class? Like how, like for your followers who have been following you and maybe on the edge about it, like how frequently you have your classes throughout the week, and what's the process of signing up?
So Tuesday, 6 p.m. In San Pedro. So it's at Cabrilla Marina. That you could either DM me, but I do have a link in my bio that you can sign up for. On Thursday, 7:30 p.m. and Saturdays at 8:45 a.m. So I teach 3 classes a week. So Thursday and Saturday, same thing, link in the bio, or you can DM me on Facebook or on IG. And it's $15 per class. It's 20 for if you want to rent out the booth.
Mhm.
But I will, if they've never rebounded and they want to try it, I will say I give them the class for free. Like, I want them to try it, right?
Yes,
There,
yes.
yeah, there's no cost to me for allowing someone to try it, because you don't know if they're going to like it or not.
That's true. You're
You
right.
know, you don't know it, right? You don't know
Hmm.
if they're going to like it or not. So yeah, the first time is always like, oh no, try it. And I'm always so stoked. Like, oh my gosh, yes, they're going to feel the same way that I feel about it.
And that's not the case for everybody. They won't feel the same, but like at least you'll feel better. Like you may
Right.
come feeling trashy and then you leaving happy. At least in some regards. But thank you so much. I have, what was it, one more last question.
Okay.
So to kind of leave it, if you had 3 words, I think you kind of covered this already, but if you had 3 words that could be very life changing for somebody, what 3 words would that be to live to be able to get through mental health?
Listen, listen to
Hmm.
yourself.
Right.
3 words. That's a great question. So listen to yourself. Don't be afraid to try new things.
Mm-hmm.
And be courageous. Be courageous. Be,
Okay.
be, be courageous, because a lot of the times I feel like humans, we can live in fear. And
Right.
so be courageous. It's okay to tell yourself to put yourself first. Put yourself first. Or and it's okay, and accept yourself. Like, it's okay, like with mental health. And I know, and I'm speaking for myself.
Mm-hmm.
When I have felt depressed, or when I have just felt down, right? Down to the
Mm-hmm.
bone, like, I allow myself to feel that.
Yes.
I allow myself to feel that, because when I am at a heightened state, I I don't want to be there.
Right.
I don't want to be
Right.
there, right? So it's okay to tell yourself, okay, I'm sad, I'm unhappy right now, but what am I going to do to change this?
Exactly.
We are the controllers of our destiny.
That is so true. That
Yeah,
is so
we are
true.
the
We are
controllers
the control.
of our destiny. There is no book, there is no robotic AI hacking
Mm-hmm.
in, right?
Right.
We control ourselves, we
Mm-hmm.
control our destiny. You change yourself, you cannot change others. So number one thing, always with me, is do what makes you happy. Like,
That's true.
I really live by that.
Sometimes the mind don't know the difference between unreality and reality. You have to tell
Right.
it what you want it to do and
Exactly.
manifest it. Because if you don't manifest it and say, I refuse to let myself feel this way, I'm making a change. And that's
Right.
what sometimes that's where I'll start. And you may not even believe it while you're saying it, but you fake it until it becomes a reality. Because again, your mind doesn't sometimes know the difference between unreality and reality. It knows what you tell it, and what you
Right.
allow in it drives your destiny. Thank you so much for
Right.
giving me your time. I hope
I
that
know.
we made a
Thank
difference.
you.
I know we
Thank
made
you
a
for
difference.
having me. Yes, absolutely. So the bottom line is, be
I'm
afraid. Try it. Don't be afraid
right.
to bounce. Okay.
Exactly. Right.
Try it.
Right.
And just, yeah, don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid.
Just try it. Because again, you might love it. And for all the people who jump with me,
Mhm.
they love it. They love
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
Right. So
Yes.
yeah, thank you for having me,
Thank you so
Jackson.
much. I can't
And
wait to take your class.
I
I'm
know,
gonna be coming out there soon, so I'll let you know in advance.
Saturday. Or you
Saturday.
know what? We could even make our own
Yeah.
class, okay, on a Sunday. Yes, yes. Yeah, and I really want to meet Miss Annie. She
Oh,
is
Annie, yeah. She
amazing. Like, oh my goodness.
80 years
And
and a
see,
half.
and look, I always say that too. Age is just a number. Age is just a number. Like, it
It
really
really is.
is.
It
Like,
really is.
everybody, one of my good friends, Maria.
Maria.
Maria, okay, she is amazing. Like, I strive to be Maria. She plays hockey,
Oh,
right? She's
wow.
amazing. Yeah,
How old is she?
she's gonna she's gonna be 59.
Okay,
But
nice.
you
So she's
could
still young.
not, like, she plays hockey, she does rebounding, like, she does weights, she does kickboxing, she paddle boarding, like, you name it, she does it. Maria, shout out to Maria. But age is just a number. Like, it, and again, back to the mind and mental health. Your mind, your mind is the tool. Your mind, you have to tell yourself mentally. You have to engage with your mind. Like, stop it already.
Exactly.
I mean, talk to yourself. Talk to
Girl, I
yourself.
do it all the time.
I have conversations with myself all the time. You know,
Especially when
but
negative thoughts come, and you be like, "Nah, I'm not doing that, Jackson. You already know what you got to do because you got
exactly.
it."
And and some people are like, "Oh my gosh, what a weirdo!" But no,
Uh-uh.
listen, this is one vessel. This is one
Exactly.
temple here.
Right.
There's no one. There's no one controlling me. I control myself, right?
Exactly.
And so
Exactly.
it, I can easily walk in things blindly. I know it's like 1 p.m. I don't know if you have to
Oh
go,
no, it's
but I can easily walk into things blindly. If Sarah doesn't know how to do it, Sarah's going to complete it and she's going to freaking nail it, right?
mm-hmm.
But this isn't. I am an introvert extrovert. I'm an
Yes.
introvert extrovert. I have to honestly tell myself and talk to myself, it's okay, Sarah. Just do it. It'll be fine. It's just an hour.
hmm
Don't trip, chocolate chip,
Yeah,
like,
don't trip chocolate chip.
yeah. So a lot of the times, yeah, talk to yourself. It's like, okay,
Yes.
what's making me unhappy? And
hmm
how do I change? How do I change this situation? How do I change my mental process?
Being your own best friend, it's a daily,
Right.
it takes daily work. Just like a relationship takes work, it takes work for relationship with yourself
Yeah.
too. Because it's like you're in battle with
100%.
yourself, especially when it
Yeah.
comes to
Self
trying how to treat
care.
others. Yeah, self-care is a real thing. I'm happy that I'm in the generation of time that this is accepting, because 20 years ago, people were talking
Yes.
about self-love. It was
Right.
it
Yeah.
was not a thing. And so it was mental
Right.
health was not something that was reality. And that's why I love that I'm a part of this era that we are having uncomfortable conversations about talking with ourselves and knowing where we stand at mentally, because that's what's going to help prevent suicide rates, or not prevent but reduce
Right.
suicide rates. Because a lot of times when people is in the mindset, like one of the criteria of diagnosing somebody with major depressive disorder is recurrent thoughts of death, and it could be a passive thought that they're having that they haven't acted on, but it's there. And so when you're having those thoughts, that's not healthy, to have those thoughts. But,
Right.
if they do come, what is your coping strategy to deal with those thoughts? And over
Right.
time, when you don't
Absolutely.
have those coping strategies, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then you start listening to your thoughts. And over time, as a result, something bad can happen. So that's why mental health is something that is so important, that it's important to have those uncomfortable conversations.
And also surround yourself with people,
Oh, yes.
the people that you surround yourself with people who uplift you. Like,
hmm
surround yourself with people who support you, uplift you, who believe in you.
Believe
Like,
in you.
it is powerful. It is so powerful. Like, in rebounding, right? My my team, my group, like, I we're that is what we do with each other. We're always like, great job. We're always
Mhm.
uplifting each other. And even if they don't think they're doing good,
Right.
the fact that you even showed up,
Yes. Yes.
amazing.
It's
Listen,
amazing.
the fact
Exactly.
that you even showed up is incredible, because some don't even have the willpower to do that.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, with the mental health and the rebounding aspect, there's no um there shouldn't be any challenge. There shouldn't be any competition.
hmm
Good competition can be healthy because it helps you improve,
Right.
right?
Right.
Like you said, Marina, like, yeah, she's a badass. Okay. listen listen if I can jump as high as her, like, okay, like, she's a bad
Marina,
woman, right? Like,
Christina.
yeah, I love them all. I love them all. And but these are healthy um people to look up to,
Right.
right? Like, you're striving to be
But
them.
they're not
And so,
America. And that's where it's like,
right,
I had a video that went viral
right,
on YouTube, 4 million views, right? And Kendra, she's on she's a little bit more heavier than the normal. And, a lot of people was just inspired because that's the reality of outside of California and New York being very health conscious states, as well as Florida. A lot of these other states, there is very heavy. You know, they're very heavy in weight, and so this is
Right.
a solution. And that's why I'm like, yeah, we need to get this across each and every state. You know, especially those states where diet is not, really good. Make this a part of everyday living.
And so you wear the boots when you're in the airport,
Mhm.
right? I haven't worn the boots in the airport yet, but I'm holding on to the weights at the airport, right? I'm holding on to the weight, the boots.
Right.
I get so many questions like, what
Yeah.
is that? Like, what are those moon boots? What is that? What is that?
Mhm.
And so I've met people from I can't even remember right now, but amongst the different states,
Mhm.
right? And I'm like, holy crap, how do these it's been out for so long. Rebounding
Yes.
has been out since the 80s, I
Mhm.
believe. How is it that we haven't like gravitated to it? Like it's such an incredible tool. It's
Mhm.
a tool. It's an incredible tool,
It's
right?
yes, it is.
So
It's gonna
I
be mainstream. I look at rebounding as like skates. You know, I'm sure when the first person came out with skates, people was looking at them like, I ain't getting
yeah.
those things. I'm gonna cross fight them. Now they got skate depots. They got people
Yes,
dancing. It's one of those type of things. It's gonna take a little while before it get to hit mainstream, but it will hit mainstream. Because it is something that's it's
starting to.
rehabilitative.
I think it's starting to too. I think it's starting
Yes,
to. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
spreading.
I'm seeing a lot of videos, and some of them are funny. People are making fun and things like
I
that.
know those
But at
videos are
the
going
end of the
viral.
day, if you look at if you look at every single one of these videos,
Right.
every person in there is happy. You
Exactly.
you haven't seen one person in there miserable. Nobody's crying in these videos. Everybody's jumping, happy, like
Did
doing their thing.
Did you see that
Come on,
video where what was it? Was it white women do everything but lift
yes,
weights?
but lift. Yes, yes, I
I
saw
was
that
like,
one.
oh, well, call me a white woman because I love rebounding.
You know what? I commented in that, and I was like, I'm not white, but I am a Latina who will vouch for this. Okay,
Period,
I will,
period.
I will vouch for this. And yeah, listen, it ain't my fault that this is so much fun. Where
Exactly.
are you located? We'll bring it to you.
Yes, period.
So
People, it's like if you don't try it, then don't say nothing. Try it
I know,
before you like, take some.
I know. Don't knock it till
Don't
you try it. It's
knock until you
absolutely
try. That's what I was trying to get at. I was like, wait a minute, where my thoughts going at? Don't knock it until
yeah.
you try. It's like food.
Right. Yeah. Some of us like mushrooms, others don't. you
Exactly.
know.
That's very true.
But yeah.
All right. Well then, again, thank you so much for giving me this time. This conversation was wonderful. We've been vibing all the way
Yeah. Thank
through.
you
Like
so
this is
much.
amazing. I hope your day is wonderful. Let me
You
go on out
too.
of here. I have to take somebody to the hospital. They're not
Yes.
feeling too well right now. So,
Okay.
but
Okay.
yeah, have a good day.
I
Bye,
know.
everybody.
You
Oh, before
too.
we end it,
Bye.
did anybody have questions? I'm sorry. Like I like to ask, like towards the
Yeah.
end. If anybody have any questions for Sarah, please do comment below. If not, then we leave it at that. Okie dokie. I guess nobody. Okay. All right. Well then,
Yeah.
have a wonderful day. I'll see you soon. I'll be texting
Bye.
you.
Yes.
Bye bye.
Yes. 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 Okay. Bye bye.